Okay, hi, how you doing? It is Sunday, March 29th, and this is the weekend update for world history. Hope you're well. Hope you're both physically and mentally well. I know that this social distancing is starting to drive me a little bit crazy. I'm sure you're getting a little fidgety as well. Well, my daughters are both in high school and they're struggling with it. It's kind of funny. I'm sure, like my daughters were excited and found out, all right, no school. Now they're begging to go back. So I miss you guys, and a big part of why I'm a teacher is the actual physical interaction in the classroom. That's a big part of what drives me and inspires me to teach. So the distance learning is the best we can do right now, but man, I really miss my colleagues and I miss seeing my students. If you're wondering, this kind of crazy little box I'm in, it's a freestanding office in my backyard that I built many years ago. So it's kind of a place where my wife and I can go to get work done. All right. So what's going on in the world really quickly, just to update. Obviously, we have the coronavirus, the COVID-19, the pandemic. I want you to always be thinking about the acronym PERSIG that we use in our classroom. That's political, economic, religious, social, intellectual, geographic. So always be thinking about those six items when you look at world affairs. It's interesting right now. This is having a huge impact on our economy. We had the highest initial unemployment rates or claims, I should say. I think the highest before was like around 600,000, and it was over 3 million. There's a motorcycle. So that's a little bit alarming, and so we're definitely, most economists believe we're going to be in a recession. Some people are even throwing around the D word, depression. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Okay, so quick review. We finished up World War II. That was last week. And so as World War II ends, the two major superpowers that are standing at the end are the Soviet Union and the United States. And if we look here at, if we look at kind of where we're going to be heading this week, some of the objectives we're going to be looking at what we call the Cold War, but we're not going to jump right into it. We're actually going to kind of look at the framework, the groundwork, the foundation of how it gets started. So um, let's see here. So how did World War II contribute to the development of the Cold War? And then we're going to look at how the Cold War conflicts in Germany and Eastern Europe pushed it along, these kind of proxy wars. They weren't wars yet. They were kind of so an important thing to look at with the Cold War is it's called the Cold War. Is it a hot war is when bullets start flying. A Cold War is that when you push right up against that, there's a lot of posturing, a lot of statesmanship, but you never ever really quite go into an all-out war. Although, as we see this unfold, we'll see proxy wars break out in Korea and Vietnam and other spots. A reason for that, spoiler alert, is that there's a doctrine called the MAD doctrine, MAD, mutually assured destruction. So you know from what you learned that the United States created the atomic weapon, which was used on Japan, on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But a few short years later, the Soviets, USSR, Russia, also obtains a nuclear weapon. So this idea that neither of these two powers can use it on each other because they'll mutually be destroyed. Some other things that we're going to be looking at is the growth of the nuclear arms race, which I just talked about, and then how the Cold War became a global conflict. And what we're going to find out is that you were either on the side of Western democracies, like the United States and Western Europe, or you were on the side of China and Soviet Union and some other communist players. But we don't want to get too deep into that yet. And really, what we're going to be doing in this next unit is we're going to look at the United States and the Soviet Union and how they're different. Like what makes them adversaries. The key is going to be that Western European countries and the United States have a theory of democracy. Ours is a republic, federalism. Nonetheless, it has democratic values. And then you're going to be looking at communist countries. The big players will be China and the Soviet Union. We're also going to look at their economies. Adam Smith wrote a book called Wealth of Nations, which we've briefly spoken about. And capitalism is based on this idea. It's about competition. You have winners and losers, which creates innovation. You have some extreme wealthy people, but then you also have some people in societies that are incredibly poor. And the hope is that you have a middle class that kind of smooths everything over. Oh, I've got motorcycles, dogs barking. What the heck's going on? All right, so lost my train of thought there a little bit. So we're going to be looking at the Cold War and kind of see what it means, what the differences are between these two ideologies, if you will. Okay, so what are you going to be doing for me this week? Well, you will have a little bit of reading in the textbook. It's going to be topic 8, lesson 1, and I'll write that all up in Google Classroom. You're also going to have a PowerPoint that I would normally lecture on. Just read through it and fill out the graphic organizer like I did last week for you. And you're going to be focusing on China and kind of the development of China and communism within it. We'll look at Mao Zedong and a few other issues, their civil war in China. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to try to hit the big pieces here. With this distance learning, we're not going to be able to get as specific, but we want to make sure that we hit some of the big ideas. So if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email through my GGUSD site, or you could comment in Google Classroom, or you could comment below here. I read them all. Really, the best thing to do is just shoot me an email. That's the most official record. But if you're commenting below, I'm reading those and interacting, so that would suffice too. Okay, last thing. Make sure that you stay healthy, eat your vitamins, do some exercise, make sure that your mental fitness is happening too, because I know with my family, my daughters, my wife, and we've talked about a little bit of depression, seeping in because we're kind of the same thing over. One day just runs into the next. When it was Friday, I couldn't even believe it was Friday because there wasn't any real difference in any of the days. So make sure you're aware of both physically how you're feeling as well as mentally and emotionally. And if you need someone to talk to, you can always email me and we'll find a counselor or whomever to work with you. All right, guys, be well. Get some sleep. Don't stay up too late, and get this work turned in so that I can give you guys all credit. Thank you very much. Good night.